Happy Christmas Eve, Eve! Welcome to Point Harbor Club. Going to be chatting about the Snowman. So we've got this cover, this shiny cover. Hi guys! Happy Christmas Eve, Eve! Hi Naomi, I'm just going to add you in. I'm just going to bring Naomi into the chat. So we've got the lovely Naomi joining us. Hopefully that's gone through. Fingers crossed. Hi Emma. Merry Christmas Eve. Ooh. Have I done it right is the question.
Hey, can you see me?
Hello. Oh, we've got a blank screen. Oh, I can see you now.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. As you can see, I'm not very good at live. I'm sorry.
No, you look very snuggly and warm in your bobble hat.
Got my snowman outfit on, and it's wool, you know. So I'm thinking I might get away with a few murders.
Well, yeah, we have learned how to get away with murder with a wool scarf. Oh, more on that one later, definitely. Plot twist. So tonight for Point Hard Book Club, we're going to be talking about the Snowman by R.L. Stine. So I've got the shiny copy as well. And I've got that copy. Yeah, they kind of reissued them with these shiny copies.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, but I like the originals. I do like the originals. So if you've got any comments, anyone joining in, do pop them up and I'll try and read them out. Also, I've got a new stand for my iPad. So if I look a bit skewish, please tell me because it looks like it's at an angle, but I think we're good.
I've got some good props going up here to hold my phone, so don't worry. It's all good.
And I normally just use like a load of books and then I encase it in like the books, but I bought this like little stand thing and I thought, I'll try it out tonight and see.
Getting all fancy.
I know, fancy. So if you've got any comments, guys, about the Snowman, pop them up as we're chatting. And as always, the spoilers ahead for The Snowman by R.L. Stine. Lots of spoilers, big spoilers. I've warned you if you haven't read it. So we've got the lovely, absolutely lovely Naomi joining us tonight. Now, Naomi's debut, Every Line of You, came out this year, and it's actually one of my favourite books of this year. Oh, it's so good. And I was lucky I got gifted this like sprayed edge copy. So thank you, Chicken House. But this was so good. But basically, it was, for me, it was like Carrie for the digital age, like programmed and executed like the Terminator. And I loved it. Oh, it was so good. And
everyone loves a revenge story.
Yeah, it's like a proper revenge story. But basically, Lydia creates the perfect AI boyfriend who is there for her when no one else is. But does it work out well, or does it go a bit wrong? So do check out Naomi's book. It's so good. I loved it. It was brilliant.
Oh, thanks, Daddy.
Oh no, you're welcome. I think I did a read along with you at the time. And it did loads of pictures, loads of pictures of it.
It was awesome. Yeah, that was really good fun. I was trying to work that week as well, and I was like way more interested in Instagram.
That's the problem, isn't it? That's the problem. So, have you ever read a point horror before, Naomi, or was this like your first time reading one?
Yeah, I've definitely read one. I think I was quite young at the time, because I grew up reading Goosebumps, and so I knew all about R.L. Stine and things like that. But I only read like a couple of point horrors, and I can't really remember which ones they were because I was like maybe 13, 14, and I just can't remember.
Yeah.
But I used to get them from the library, and our library didn't have like a big selection of it, so I think I read the few that were there, and then that was it really for me. But yeah, definitely aware of point horror. I mean, what great books! But I think for me, when I was growing up, they used to be a lot thicker. I think like my memory is playing tricks on me. I used to think they're like I'm reading like a big girl's book, like, but they're actually really small.
I think I know what you mean there, actually, because I think like I do think when I was younger, I think they used to take, they didn't take me longer to read, but I used to like get them from the bookshop and then I'd be like, oh, the whole weekend I'm going to spend reading. And like
Yeah.
nowadays I can like read it in a day. But back then they did seem, I think you're right, they did seem a bit more chunkier than
Maybe it
now.
was like, maybe they had a bigger print or something, bigger font. I don't know, more pages. I don't
Hmm.
know.
Maybe it's
But,
just because we've grown up and now boo.
yeah, that's it. But small time now, isn't it? Really, it's quite thin.
Yeah. Oh, Wednesday Adams. But yes, I'm so glad you said that. They're so much smaller, like cream eggs. Yes, like cream eggs. Yeah, they've shrunk cream eggs.
Yeah,
um,
and boxes of chocolates. Have you noticed that at Christmas time? Boxes of
yeah,
chocolates just way smaller.
I know.
Yeah,
Quality Street aren't the same anymore. Definitely
that's
not.
true. That's the one we've got. Like, what is this? Another box of chocolate.
Right, we'll get into the snowman then. If you have got any questions for Naomi, I'm sure she'd be happy to answer them. And there's like a little question button, which people should be able to see. If you want to pop them in there, and I can check at the end, and then I can bring them up on the screen. It worked quite well last time. So, but yeah, so the snowman then. So the tagline for this one is a cold-blooded killer.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, kind of. So
I got
so basically, I'll do a little summary of the book, and then we'll go into it. But basically, I titled this one that it was a little bit Fatal Attraction. Go with me on it. Meets strangers on a train. Meets
yeah.
Heathers. And that's kind of how I interpreted it in my head.
Yeah. I got major strangers on a train vibes. I could definitely agree. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So Heather Dixon is one very unhappy girl. Very unhappy. She has a loving boyfriend, a best friend, and a job that she hates. And she can think of nothing better than killing off her nasty, vile uncle in wild fantasies. What more could a girl ask for? So a boy called Snowman arrives in Twin Valley, I think it was called, and Heather
Mhm.
is smitten. So Heather seems to lose all common sense and gets swept away by the snowman's cool charms and good looks. She starts cheating on her boyfriend with the snowman, and then giving him lots and lots of money before that. Even before he finds out about the trust fund, she's giving him lots of money. However, he does slightly redeem himself by killing Heather's vile uncle, and I say redeem loosely. But killing Heather's vile uncle with his snowman red wool scarf. So it's at that point that Heather starts to realise that not everything is as it seems with the snowman, and that maybe something is not quite right. Takes her a while, but she gets there in the end. So Heather then. Heather Dixon. So, where do we start with Heather? What what did you think of Heather?
Um, Heather was mixed for me. I'll be honest. I thought she made some pretty crap decisions, and but also I thought she was a bit of a snob and a bit ungrateful, like a lot of things in her life actually.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But at the same time, she did stuff, so I was quite happy to follow her around and read about her. What did you think?
Oh, Heather. Oh. So I read this one a few years ago.
Okay.
I read it back in the day. I didn't remember much about it, and then a few years ago, say 6 years ago, I reread it, and I really hated her so much.
Yeah.
However, on the reread, because obviously I remembered her, so straight away I knew, oh, Heather's going to be interesting, to see what people think. But yeah, so straight away I remembered the end and I remembered Heather. But this time around, I just found her hilarious. She was so irritatingly funny that
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, Wednesday Adams says she rocked the side ponytail though,
She did have a
apparently.
side ponytail, yeah.
So
That's
yes,
such a 90s thing, isn't it? A side ponytail. You can just picture it really easily.
we should have done that today. We didn't
Yeah,
think.
I was thinking that. Why not do the side ponytail?
But yeah, Dustin's put Heather was a moron. She almost deserved to get conned, and yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
completely agree. Do you? I agree with that. She did kind of deserve getting conned.
Yeah, do you know what I thought was kind of funny was that she had this checkbook for this checking account that she wasn't allowed to use, and like her uncle was like, "No, you're not allowed to touch it," and so she was complaining a lot about not being able to touch it, and then she just was able to give it away really easily. I don't know. I just like, well, clearly you've got access to it, so I don't know.
Oh, that was so funny. But she, uh, she really gave the money away. I mean, she worked in this like cook's kitchen coffee shop, and she didn't see the
Yeah,
point in working,
yeah.
to earn money because she'd got this trust fund, and she was paranoid that her vile uncle was like thieving from it and buying himself a computer, and
To begin with, right, I kind of was like, oh, maybe Uncle James isn't like your classic bad guy. He's just trying to teach her the value of money or something. And like, yeah, have a job, Heather. Make sure you appreciate money.
and she
But
was
like,
just
no,
like a stroppy teen.
yeah. And I thought like, oh, he's gonna actually like be the good guy in the end, and he'll help her out or whatever. But no, it didn't go that way. But yeah, he turned out to not be very nice. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So going back to the way she looked, she was like a classic. There's a line in there as well about her being all blonde and pretty and heathery, and that just
what?
made me think of like Heather Chandler out of Heathers, like just straight away. I don't know what heathery looks like, but that's what I imagine.
Well, so I moved to Scotland about a year ago, and heather to me is like really purple. And I was like, what kind of heather do they have in America? Like, what are they thinking of?
Yeah, she had blonde hair, didn't she? It would make a bit more sense if she had like purple hair.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm on that wavelength, but yeah, sure, whatever.
But yeah, she was honestly, she was so sarcastic. She was always in a bad mood, always hated everything. And as She Gathered Books says, Heather spent a lot of time thinking about murder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That was her defining characteristic, really, wasn't it? She wanted to kill Uncle James.
I mean, some of those fantasies about hang on, let me rephrase that. Some of those killing fantasies, not fantasies about Uncle James, murdering fantasies.
That's a different kind of book.
Yes, some of those were just hilarious. So, like, there was the pushing him off the ladder
Yeah,
fantasy, which she.
the sled thing as well, when he
Oh,
like
that sled.
went careening into a tree.
That fantasy was a little bit weird because
That was
we got
weird.
a bit of TMI in that fantasy.
Yeah, when he was like sat right behind her and stuff.
She's like,
Well,
I'm getting in the sled, and like, oh, it came. Oh no, it was a bit
yeah.
creepy. And then like, I was so glad when they started going down and down and down in the sled.
I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was one of the first killing fantasies. I think the one on the ladder, where she was actually fantasizing about that while she was kissing her boyfriend Ben.
Yeah, that's quite intense, really. Like Ben must not be a very good kisser.
No, poor Ben. Oh, bless him. So yeah, she had some interesting fantasies, definitely.
Yeah.
Emma's put murder and money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Heather all.
that just sums Heather up. Actually, it really does.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Heather was a sucker for a crinkly eye, apparently, and then cue the snowman with his crinkly eyes. And as I said before, she effectively cheats on
I know.
Ben. So
What a
bad.
bitch.
Yeah, what a bitch.
Ben was boring, I reckon. He was a bit nice but dim, wasn't he?
Oh, leave him alone. He was so sweet.
He deserves better, I think, Ben.
Oh, yeah, poor Ben. Oh, he got a bad rep. But I'll tell you one thing with Ben. I loved it when they were on the phone and she was like, I think we should see other people. And he was like, hell no. I just didn't want anything to do with that. I was like, yes, Ben. But then he goes running back at the end.
And then he comes crawling back, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so this snowman guy arrives and basically she doesn't know his phone number. She doesn't know his address. He constantly forgets his wallet, conveniently. And she's just like, oh, I'll pay for you. I'll pay for your burger.
Yes, Richard.
She just knows nothing about him. And then he goes and blackmails her. And she still gives him more money, even when he's blackmailing her.
That's like the classic, you just don't give him more money. I was just like, come on. And she did it twice as well. Like, have you not learned from your shit decision earlier? Like, no, do it again.
Oh, yeah, terrible. And then I think even when he kidnaps her at the end, she's still like offering him money.
Yeah,
just wrong on so many levels. So I think I spent most of the time screaming at Heather, going, oh, Heather, what on earth are you doing? Are you crazy? Most of the time. And shaking my head a lot. But in a weird way, I kind of loved her, but for all the wrong reasons. So, because she was just frustrating and really annoying, but it's very much like there's another R.L. Stine book called The Boyfriend, which we covered back in February, and the main character in that is Joanna, and she's just annoying. But I think it makes them more memorable and more what's the word I'm looking for? Like more memorable and more like I don't want to say interesting because she wasn't really that interesting, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you're right. It almost makes them a little bit more three-dimensional in a way, in that they're not just sort of pushovers. They're kind of like they've got their. I don't know. It's like, well, she is a bit of a pushover, but like, I don't know. She makes crap decisions, but you remember her for that. Like, you're right.
Yeah.
It's an interesting.
She was just a sucker for a guy with white hair, really. So there's a bit of an argument going on in the comments about Ben. So Justin put, Ben is the boyfriend she didn't deserve. And then Kat's put, Ben was boring. Not surprised Heather was having murder fantasies while kissing him. And then Emma's put, oh, come on, Kat, what about his jokes?
We're good jokes, yeah.
And then Kat's put, how many murders did Ben commit for Heather? None. That's
He's
true.
Just not committed. He's just not committed, right?
Slacking.
You want to be in a relationship,
Oh dear. So yeah, so also as well as her fantasies, I'll move on from Heather in a minute because I keep talking about her because I strangely liked her. I don't know why. But yeah, she also liked to compare things to things. So what I mean by that is the way she used to say, like, he looks like a gigantic insect, or he looks like a pencil with a red eraser on the top.
That one was my favourite. I thought that was brilliant. That really made me laugh.
Oh dear. Future that's going to appear in one of your future books, Naomi.
Log that one away.
Oh, and then there's the classic. He suddenly looked to Heather like a department store mannequin. Why? And my favourite, although maybe again for the wrong reasons, because sometimes my mind does go in the gutter, but and through the grey thoughts that I can't say it. And through the grey...
I just realised what you're meaning. Oh, you've taken it to a very interesting place, Ellie.
So, and through the grey thoughts, the bright pink head of her uncle appeared like a flowering weed sprouting up through the concrete sidewalk. Yes, I laughed, but for the wrong, for the very wrong reason.
For all the wrong reasons. Do you think he did that on purpose, like to entertain himself? Like put it in.
Oh, who knows? Who knows with Uncle James? And also, she did need to work on her flirting technique and her jokes as well, because her jokes were awful. Like, I didn't get them. So there was one about a dentist that she said. So
Yeah.
you sound like my dentist. Almost done. Oh, we're almost done. And then he goes on drilling for another 20 minutes. And I was like,
Good one, yeah.
and the one that I really didn't get, that someone, please, if you get this joke, please DM me and explain it to me, was this when they go out in the snow to the park, Swan Park or whatever it was. And I think she says, or Snowman says, so much snow. I'm just glad of one thing. Glad I don't have to shovel it. I don't get it.
I thought that as well.
I don't
I think
get it.
R.L. Stine was really scraping the barrel. I think maybe maybe he's not much of a flirter himself. I don't know.
Well, the best flirty line was when Heather kind of said, coffee, tea, or me. Like, giggle.
It's like you know when you're in a restaurant and you get like a waitress just like, see anything you like. It's one of those kind of lines. It's brilliant.
Oh dear. Oh, that's so true. I'm not. If someone says that to me now in a restaurant, that's all I'm going to think of. Yeah, so we'll move on from Heather because she was a bit of a Marmite character, so a lover or hater character, and I definitely changed my mind on her every time I read it. But yeah, let's chat about the Snowman. So Bill Jeffers. So R.L. Stine obviously loves that surname because he used it in the Babysitter series with Jenny Jeffers. So I was like, oh, I like that little link. But yeah, so the Snowman, so boo. Boo. So according to Heather, he was the most handsome boy that she had ever seen. And his eyes seemed to glow like coals, dark coals beneath his white hair. What did you think of the Snowman, Naomi?
I was quite surprised that he had white hair, and yeah, and he was, you know, when he went for dinner at Heather's house, and Uncle James was like, "So why'd you have white hair?" I was like, "Why does he have white hair?" Like Uncle James asked some really good questions at that dinner. I thought
He did actually, yeah.
And why do you? And he like eats everything. It's like he's not been eating for like a year. And what I thought was really the part that really made me laugh the most was when he was in the diner with Heather and he left her a tip, and the tip was a little drawing of a snowman. I thought that was really, really funny.
And doesn't she say something like, "Oh, what a cool tip," or
Like,
something
so
like that?
sweet. And I'm like, no. What? He got his meal for free and he didn't tip you. Like, what a punk.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was something else, really. Oh dear, what's oh yeah, so Cat's Snowman was basically Jason Dean, so JD from Heather's, but with frosted tips. So very 90s or early 2000s. But he did give me those vibes, those JD vibes from Heather's, like especially with the long 50s style coat.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
the scarf, and just the way that he was quite elusive, and he flipped and turned. Yeah.
I thought his name. So his name was Bill, wasn't it? When they told when he said, "Oh, my name's Bill," actually, I was like, "No, he's not Bill. That's not a teenager's name." What was he thinking? That's so funny.
Well, Dustin's put, after we learned his real name was Bill, why did we have to keep reading about him as the
I thought
Snowman? It's so
it was
true.
like if Heather was going out with him, like he was her boyfriend, you wouldn't be like, "Snowman, what are you up to?" You'd be like, "Bill, what's up?"
All right, Bill. Yeah, she kept,
Yeah,
she did keep calling him the Snowman. Oh,
yeah,
I didn't think of that, Dustin, and now it's blown my mind. But yeah, that felt, as Dustin said, it felt a bit ridiculous after a while. And then was put
yeah, yeah.
Snowman was a strange nickname. I'm not sure. Did he explain the nickname? It was just because of his hair, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was all around his hair and his coal black eyes, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And She Gathered Books has put, I'd really have liked more Snowman's backstory. Yeah,
True.
actually, I would
So
have as
too.
well. But I do think he was based on JD from Heather's. Yeah, yeah, definitely. But yeah, so other than his snow white hair, so it wasn't blonde, it wasn't silver, it was pure white, which was parted in the middle and long, and it fell down in waves to his collar. Apparently, he had apple breath. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Dark features, ruddy skin, which was almost tanned, and a little cleft in his chin, large dark eyes. But he basically made Heather swoon and swoon and swoon because he looked like someone off the movies or off TV. Although at some point she did change her mind because she calls him like a skinny colt. I have to
Yeah.
say that careful. And I was like, I'm sure that's not an insult, so I had to Google that just to see what it was because I didn't know what it was. So I was like, oh, okay, so maybe that might have been towards the end. But I don't think that bit was a compliment.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, as we said earlier, he managed to convince her to give him lots of money. Considering he'd only moved there a couple of weeks ago as well. But one of my favourite scenes was when they are in the car and he thinks someone's chasing them.
I know, yeah. I thought that was an interesting scene.
Yeah, and I was like, that's when you first kind of get the feeling, other than a little bit of a feeling, but yeah, who is he? He's obviously like hiding from someone. But I'm sure in that scene he kind of hit someone's. I thought he hit someone's car when he kind of stopped. Then he never gets mentioned again. And then he drives off.
As you do.
I might have imagined that though. But did you have any favourite Snowman scenes, like, or anything that he did that you kind of liked?
Yeah, I thought the bit where he took her to the clearing in the woods, I thought that was actually quite sweet. Like
the first time.
Yeah, the first time. Yeah, the first time. I thought that was quite sweet. Like taking her somewhere private that she's never been before. Blah blah blah. I thought that was quite sweet. But then at the very end of that scene, so they built a snowman, and at the very end of that scene, he like punches it in the face. I was like, all right, bit weird. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think shortly after that was there the car chase scene, or was that before it? I can't remember.
Yeah, one.
It's around there where you're just like, I don't think Bill's got it all together. I think he's like a little bit.
Oh yeah, Karen's put she loved the bit when it elbowed the snowman's head off. I would have been like, what? That's savage. Oh dear. I also love the bit where they're going to a club or something to go dancing.
Oh yeah.
And he kind of like says he dances like a water buffalo on roller skates. And can you just imagine? Yeah,
I thought that was quite funny. I was like, oh, that is actually one of the better lines I thought in the book. like how people are like, oh, it's like Bambi on ice. So I was like, that's probably what they're going for.
Yeah, so water buffalo on ice skates. I kind of like that. I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah.
But obviously, oh, and also when in that car chase scene, when they finally realise that they're not being chased, I didn't love it, but the way he says to Heather, oh, maybe it was an angry customer from your restaurant, that someone that you spilled soup on earlier in the week or something like that. And she's like, I haven't spilled soup on anyone in weeks.
Yeah, you can just hear her say it. It's like, oh, but I haven't done that in weeks.
Have I? Or was it in my fantasy?
She's a terrible waitress. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh dear. That
I
just
also
made.
thought that was quite gaslighty actually from Snowman. I didn't like him much after that actually.
No.
You can elbow Snowman, that's fine, but don't gaslight people. Don't gaslight Heather.
No. Definitely not. That was just
Yeah.
no. Yes, she gathered books as put loved how he was repeatedly described as cold as ice.
Yeah.
And they've been singing the Foreigner song ever since. We were talking about that on Twitter this morning, and yes, oh,
that's
dear.
so true.
Never going to get it out of my head now. Never. So his one redeeming feature, because he was just a bit weird, was his trusty red wool scarf that he used to kill Uncle James. And we all know, I can't speak tonight. We all now know that we can get away with murder as long as we use wool, because it looks like someone's had a heart attack rather than being.
It's all right. It leaves no signs around the neck. It's perfectly fine. I can't believe that went to print. Like, the copy editor must have had an absolute field day, and they just absolutely ignored whatever they suggested. I was like, wow.
I mean, what were those paramedics doing? They're like, oh yeah, he just had heart attack. Surely you would know the difference between.
Yeah. You'd think so, yeah. The professionals. Yeah.
Strangulation and a heart attack. No.
No, it's not a heart attack. You'd think there'd be like lines around the neck or something, or like, you know, you get on CSI and they get fibers in the throat or something. None of that. It's all a heart attack.
But yeah, I think Snowman was quite proud of the fact that he was like, oh yes, I did it. I've got away with it because it was wool. It was a wool scarf.
It's like he'd done it before. Do you not think? Like he knew the way to kill someone. He's like, it's all right, Heather. I've used a wool scarf.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if that's how he killed his dad, because we find out at the end he killed his dad. So maybe he had done it before. Because we don't know how his dad got killed.
No, you don't find out, do you? So you just sort of left wondering. But I don't know, maybe he got the Heather treatment at the end.
Yeah. Oh, Karen's put, do you think he used her money to pay off the ambulance crew to fudge the death docs for his uncle? Yes.
I mean, it's a missed opportunity, isn't it? That R.R. Stine should have gone for that. That's brilliant.
Maybe that was the plan all along, but he forgot to write that bit. Yeah, so that whole paramedic scene just cracked me up. So yeah, we've all learnt a valuable lesson by reading this point horror. But I think the biggest question of all, we have to go there, is how on earth did he get Heather in that snowman at the end? Because he basically had knocked her out. He tied her feet up and he tied her hands up, I think, behind her back. I'm not entirely sure. And then he had to like tightly compact all of the snow to form this snowman around her, you know, so tight that she couldn't like just go rah, and like smash out of it like the Hulk. He basically had to like cocoon her in. But how did he do it? Because how did he stand her up? Did he stand her up? Did he draw like a sketch and work out all the circumferences before he did it? Like, what do you think?
It's a two-man job, let's be honest. Like, there's no way he could have done it on his own.
There's no way.
Yeah, to keep her steady and to build the snow around her. Just you need someone to to weigh in there. I
Mm.
think Snowman's got a friend we didn't find out about.
Oh no, not a snowman too. Okay, so yeah, that's the only possible way. This because there's no way. I was just imagining him like trying to like balance her with this arm, compact the snow, or maybe like started at the feet and compacted her feet in, so he's like holding her, compact
Yeah,
compact the feet. Then she's just. But surely, if you're knocked out, you'd be floppy. You wouldn't be like,
I think so. Yeah, you need some support, I think. Yeah. But,
yeah, plot hole. It didn't make sense.
but
But
I did actually find that quite scary though. I was like,
mm,
oh, fair play. You know, that's actually quite terrifying. Trying to wake up when you've been packed as a snowman. That's actually quite bad.
it was, and I do have to admit, Stein got across like how quite claustrophobic it was
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
inside the snowman. So that it did feel quite scary, but it kind of like makes you think, did he just get to the end and he was like, oh, I can't decide what to do now. I'm just going to shove her in a snowman and just like go with it.
I think so because like it's kind of leading up to a little bit when they build that snowman in the clearing first and he punches it in the face. It's like, okay, so he's obviously got a thing for snowmans, so I kind of get it, but it's like,
Mm.
and that would be why he's got the nickname, but at the same time he's got white hair. I don't know,
I'm just
maybe I couldn't figure it
I'm just
out.
sad that he didn't put the red scarf around the snowman that he built.
Brown snowman, yeah.
That would have just been the icing on the cake.
I did think it was like actually possible for, so like you just said, so Heather was, so she was tied with her hands behind her back, and it's like, well, how did she get, so she managed to get her lighter out, and then the snow, if she can get an arm out to get her lighter out, surely she would have broken out of the snowman.
All I
I
could
don't,
imagine was that it was like tightly compacted, it just turned into ice. That's all I kept in. But I agree. Like she could have just, in my opinion, she could have just smashed her way out of it. But yeah, like. But Emma's put the flame would have just kept going out. So
yeah, because you're just melting the snow, aren't you? Yeah,
yeah,
it's a good point.
because obviously she always carried this trusty lighter, which was like a family heirloom, which she didn't know would light unless she had tried it before. But yeah, so yeah, the
I've been
flame.
wondering the whole book where that lighter would come in. I was like, she's got a lighter. Why has she got a lighter? Oh, that's why. Okay. Dad left it so she could get out of the snowman. Okay.
I wonder if he planned that all along, or whether he just was like, "Oh, I know what I can do with that lighter." Ding
Yeah.
ding.
Perfect.
Karen's put, I'm fairly certain she would have set fire to her 1990s flammable clothing with the lighter before the snow would have melted.
That's a good point. And she burnt alive inside snow. Lovely.
Yes. I love that. That's so true. I can't even like, yeah. And she had a new coat, didn't she, at the time as well? So she was very good because she remembered to put the lighter in the new coat. If that was me, like, I just never remember anything.
Yeah, so true.
Emma's put, I thought she was in a snow grave at first.
I did actually. I was like, oh, he's buried her. Like,
Yeah.
I thought, yeah. But no, yeah, snowman. Yeah, the snow grave would have been interesting. I think that would have made more sense that she could get an arm out, but.
Yeah. And then Emma's put as well, he could have dug a hole to stand her in first. Yeah. So popped her in the hole and then built round her.
Okay, I see. Emma's given this some good thought.
Yeah. No, definitely. I was just like, what?
Yeah, so that would never
work. Back in the 90s, they couldn't have made her a smoker. Yeah, that's
really
interesting.
Point. Yeah, smoking's bad.
Yeah. Why I was tame. But yeah, so that whole snowman scene at the end, again, I kind of loved it. What did you think of the end? Like, that bit.
I quite enjoyed that. I was like, it culminated in the title, didn't it? Really, I was like, oh, that's why he's called the snowman. That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
But it's like because a lot of these point horror authors were, I don't know 100% about how it worked with Stein, but a lot of them were given titles and then they had to like work out the story from the title they were given. So can you imagine what went through Stein's head when he was like,
I think you can tell the title came first for this, absolutely. Because you're
yeah.
looking at the front cover, it's like, oh right, it's going to be like an evil snowman that comes to life or something, and it's not. It's about a boy who pulled the snowman. I was like, oh right, okay, that's a really interesting place. But yeah, but I think the title came first for sure. Yeah, definitely.
So if you were given the title The Snowman, like what would you do with that title? Would you make it like really murderous, or
you know,
what
like
would you do?
I would totally do the evil snowman that comes to life every 10 years, a la It.
I love it.
He kills all the kids or something. I'd do that, something like that. But I liked
Yeah.
where he took it though, the horrible boyfriend. I thought that was quite good.
It was an interesting route that he chose to go down with that. I'd love to ask him, like, if he was given that title. Given the title first. A few people inside the cover saying I really like the end with the laughy face, that ending. But these things stick in your mind. Like after all these years, that's what I remembered was the end. I knew straight away it was the lighter in the snowman. Emma's put she liked it as well. I would have found that a very scary situation to be in. Yes, I would have as well, definitely.
And Emma, she thought quickly, didn't she? Trying to melt the snow. I think I would have just panicked.
I would never have thought of like the lighter in a million years. I'd still be in there now. After all this time, frozen to death. Emma's put she wanted an evil snowman. Yeah, I kind of wanted an evil snowman, but not the evil snowman that we got.
Yeah,
a bit more evil.
That'd be cool.
But I did read a book I say a few years ago. It feels like a few years ago, but it was probably like ages ago. But that did a very similar thing with putting someone inside a snowman, which was Snowblind by PJ Tracy. I don't know if anyone's read that and can remind me if my memory's right.
I'm going to go look it up.
Yeah, but I believe in that book there's a very similar scene to do with someone inside a snowman. But so maybe it wasn't as crazy after all, or maybe they stole it from Point Horror.
Who knows? Yeah.
So talking about horrible people, we can't not talk about Uncle James with his scratchy, high-pitched, womanly voice. Apparently,
what? It's such a weird description. Yeah.
It's like, Heather.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to do that. Like Heather.
So apparently he had this like ancient olive overcoat which made him look like a big green squirrel, one of Heather's comparisons. He had a narrow face, thin lips with false yellow teeth, thick glasses, long bony arms and hands and legs that made him look like a gigantic insect or a toothpick, according to Heather again. And Snowman thought he was a bad dude. What did you think of Uncle James, Naomi? Hit me with it.
I thought he was both a prat but also really funny. So he's clearly robbing Heather, isn't he, really? So we don't like him for that reason. And he is an asshole. He doesn't treat women very nicely.
No.
But he does ask some really funny questions. I thought a lot of his questions were quite funny. And also, he makes some good points, like Heather's cheated on a boyfriend. And it's like, he mentions it. And I was like, yeah, well, good for you, Uncle James, because no one else is mentioning it.
That's so true. Like, he did... He was a complete and utter... Didn't like him. He was pushing Heather around. He actually pushes her over at some point.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, and then obviously, I think after that he like sits on the couch and he's like, "Oh, my tummy hurts" and stuff. And I'm just like, no, your guilt trip isn't going to work. Like, vile. But you are correct, and like with the way he did, he was right in some things, and I hate myself for saying that. He wasn't
Yeah,
right in anything he did or how he treated anyone.
yeah.
And for Point Horror, I thought putting that in was quite, because the parents are normally quite absent in
Oh,
Point Horror.
mm,
It's like an ongoing joke. And I just found it quite interesting, the level of what he did to Heather, and I think he calls her a tramp at some point on the street or something when she's like in the car kissing a boyfriend.
yeah, he's really,
But
yeah.
then on the other hand, he did, like you say, he did ask some good questions to Snowman. He did call Heather out on a couple of things. It was
Mhm.
almost like he was two different characters
I
to
agree.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
it's almost like he was two characters, and then he was put into like one character because something just didn't quite match up.
Yeah. Yeah, because on the one hand, he is your classic bad guy, isn't he? But then on the other
Yeah.
hand, he was sort of a parent in that he did, like you say, call her out on some stuff she needed to deal with, and so
Mm.
yeah, I think, and maybe they weren't sure on that one how to deal with him because
Yeah.
someone needed to tell her some things, and it had to be him really because Aunt Belle was a bit of a wet lettuce, wasn't she? Let's be honest. So she
Yeah.
wasn't going to tell her that.
Oh, yeah. She. I think someone just put. Yeah, she gathered books, but I found Aunt Belle so frustrating.
Yeah,
But I guess she was kind of
definitely.
intimidated by him because he had such a presence, and the way he treated them and wanted his dinner on the
Yeah,
table, and
she was
it just,
beaten down, wasn't she? Bless her.
yeah, poor thing, bless. But yeah, but I'm convinced that he was originally maybe two characters, but yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Mm. But
Mm.
the comedy value for me was when he got killed. I was like, yes. And then also that he got left on the porch for the night
Yeah.
by the paramedics. I mean,
Just
is
step
that
over him as you get into the house. Yeah.
that's not a thing, right? That's like, is
No.
that an actual thing? Because I feel like I've heard that before, that you can get left. This is really morbid,
I
but you,
thought so. Like, I think they've probably got to investigate it, so they'd leave them there whilst they investigate and take pictures and stuff. But then they'd put them away in the back of the ambulance. I would have thought they wouldn't just
mm,
body. You can't leave a body in the street, can you?
it did deserve it though. I
Yeah,
can't.
true.
Yeah, and I think there's like that whole scene where Heather like goes to the porch just to check he's dead. Just to double check, and like,
Double check.
and she like peels back the sheet that's been put on him, or whatever's on him, and that was actually quite scary. I thought it was quite a scary moment when she's like pulling back the sheet and she saw like his eyes just staring up at her.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was hilarious that he he got left on the porch. So funny. It's what he deserved for being so vile.
I agree.
Um, but Emma's put when Uncle James brought up Ben with a laughy face. Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
Um, and then I just saw something above, just going back a little bit. But Karen's put, I think she thinks Heather should have died, and then in the sequel she comes back as the resurrected evil snowman, and we find out he's been building an army of villainous snowmans to carry out his deeds.
Well, Karen, I think you just signed yourself up to be the writer on that one.
Yeah, yeah. I think write it, Karen. I'd read it. Oh dear. Yeah, I'd definitely read that. So yeah, so he was Uncle James, in my opinion, was vile. And was he rinsing her trust fund? He did have that new computer.
I
Who
mean, he did
knows?
something did seem to turn up, didn't it? It wasn't like he actually had a job.
Yeah.
So yeah, you gotta wonder.
um, and yeah, so and also in this, because there wasn't very many characters in this book, really, so it did quite well. Because normally there's quite a lot. But yeah, so obviously we had who we spoke about earlier, Ben, who was the jilted boyfriend, who seemed to have like a fantasy about meat quite a lot. So he thought that Heather was fantasizing about roast beef. I was like, oh, roast potatoes. And then I think Heather says something about, did your mum give you raw meat for breakfast again, Ben? Like when he dares to like stand up to her.
Yeah. What?
It's like, what?
Good one.
I'm gonna use that insult going forward. Did you have raw meat for breakfast?
What does that mean?
Yeah, so another person was the best friend, so Kim, who was very underused. Like,
she's a proper side character, wasn't she?
what was the point? I don't get it. She didn't actually do anything.
You're right, she was underused because Heather only called her like twice maybe, and they weren't really like long conversations where Heather came to any massive realization, so it's like, why was she there?
Yeah, I didn't see. I think it made me wonder whether they just put Kim in just because it needed an extra person, or like a friend for Heather. I say friend loosely because she didn't like help poor Heather out or call her out on her stuff.
Yeah, you're right. You think the best friend would have said a lot of the stuff Uncle James did. Yeah, so true.
Yeah. And also it was the classic, R.L. Stine does do this in a lot of the books. It's the 90s, so we have to be, but he always has to have a character who he points out is like chubby or like a bit on the round side, and so she was like that character, and I thought, oh, I wonder whether it was just for that factor, just so you got, I don't know, I didn't see the point in that. She just popped up every now and again, didn't help very much, and that was that. So overall, did you find the book, let's say, did you find it scary at all? Some of them can be quite scary, the point horrors, but what did you think?
At the ending where she was in this clearing, you know, because previously he'd taken her to it and it was in the middle of the woods and nobody knew it was there. So she was in this clearing where no one was going to find her, and she was compacted into a snowman. I was like, that's, you know, there's no one really coming for her here. That was quite scary. And then, and that reminds me actually though, because Ben stalked her, didn't he? Like, because he was the one who found her. So it's like, she's like, oh, thank you, Ben, for stalking me. You saved my life. It's like, hang on.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So the first time they went to the clearing, she thought she could see someone in the trees, didn't she? And then she was like, oh, it's just my imagination.
Yeah.
But yeah, it turned out to be Ben. So yeah, he was stalking her a little bit.
That's not great, is it really, Ben? Let's be honest.
Oh, poor Ben. Oh, he was just like pining for his long lost love, because she treated him so well.
Yeah,
she really did.
Keep him keen.
Bethany Reed has put, Kim was watching Heather at the funeral to see if she was upset. I thought something might come of that, but nah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah,
maybe
Kim and Snowman. Yeah, that would have been good.
I don't get Kim. Why was she there? I don't get it. And inside the covers, but I think it was definitely more thriller than horror. Yeah. A lot of these point horrors are very mild. Like like in America they were called Point, and the point horror came from the UK publisher adding it on. But obviously as a teen, to see horror on something, and like it's for teenagers, it was really, really enticing. But most of them were like thrillers, really. Karen's put, she was awful at personal safety, walking into dark car parks to unlocked cars. Yes, let's talk Heather. Yeah, going alone, going into the woods. Yeah, she walked across that car park, because she seemed to always park really far away from where she worked.
Oh, yeah, that's such a good point. Like, I never really thought about that, but yeah, she does park really far away. He makes a deal out of it, doesn't he? That she Yeah, but it's point horror, you know. It's always like an empty
parking lot, or
Yeah.
a shortcut that's not a shortcut, like in April Fools, never a shortcut. Um, books Bethany reads, yeah, for the horror, I was waiting for killer animated snowman. Yeah.
Army.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and then what was that? Ha ha, that bit. She was like, "Oh my God, Saz, I can't believe I locked my car this time."
Yeah.
Yeah,
How dare I?
she did. Like, did she just leave it open? Did people do that? Did people do that in the 90s?
I just thought you did in the 90s. Like, no, I'm not like that. Maybe. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Funny,
So
really.
yeah, it's crazy. Um, so overall, then, what did you think overall? I know you said so. This was kind of like your first point horror, really, because you don't remember. So would you read another point horror?
I absolutely would. They were quite funny. And yeah, I thought the whole idea of this boy who does Heather a favour by killing off her uncle, I thought that was really funny. And also the fact that he was clever enough to be like, well, hang on, you gave me a cheque and everyone knows you want your uncle dead. I thought that was really clever. I was like, oh, fair play. So yeah, I did enjoy it. I would definitely read another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to pick another one for
Yeah,
you
for sure.
to read. But also, I know what else I meant to mention. The way that the snowman, just quickly, the way that the snowman interweaved his way into like the house to live like above the garage or something as well, because he was helping like Aunt Belle with like jobs around the house.
Yeah, just like manoeuvring himself into Heather's life, and it's like, you know, would you not just get out of town? Like, you've got all the money. Like, no.
Yeah. Oh, that made me laugh, and that he paid for the deposit with Heather's money as well.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Yeah. So, what do we think happened after the snowman ends? What do you think happened to the snowman?
Well, I think the FBI were on his case, weren't they, really? So it was only a matter of time before he got incarcerated. So he's probably, yeah.
So do you think he got locked up, or do you think he like wormed his way out of it because with his cool as ice charms? Maybe.
That would be more fun because then there'd be a snowman too. So
or he managed to escape. So he's like in the cop car. He somehow manages to like escape, and then he drags the cops, the FBI, out of the car, puts them in Snowman, and drives off, going happily ever after.
That's your sequel right there, you know. That's your spin-off. Go for it.
Me and Karen need to get together and work it out. They could then turn into like the killer snowman. Oh, look.
There you go.
We've sussed it.
I'll read it.
Oh, well, thank you for taking the time to like read it, and I'm so glad like you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was really good fun. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome.
A pride place on my bookshelf.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, your copy, mine's got like creases all over it. Your copy looks.
I know mine's quite battered as well. I've got a lot down there.
But yeah, thank you for taking the time. Honestly, I thought you'd find this one fun when I suggested it. This or freeze tag was the up on the vote, but freeze tag's another fun one. Maybe we'll have to do that next Christmas.
Do that next time, yeah. Well, thank you so much for inviting me, Sally. It was really good fun. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And if honestly, guys, if you check Naomi's book out, it's absolutely fantastic, and I really think you'd like it. And if you do read it, DM me, because we have to talk about Henry. We have to. Thanks everyone for joining in. Have a good Christmas.
Nice to see you. And you. Bye.
Bye.